Awesome. Can you hear me? Just. All right. I'm a bit quiet, am I? Okay. Well, yeah, Nicole, whenever you're ready, just give me a sign and tell me when you're ready, and I'll wait 3 seconds, and then yeah.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome and haere mai to this full meeting of council. This is our first council meeting under COVID-19 level 2, and I, along with some of our councillors, are here in the chamber. We're seated well apart to observe physical distancing. Other councillors are joining the meeting remotely. Either way, all councillors are connected via Zoom, and the meeting is being live streamed so the wider public can watch. So welcome to everybody and thank you for joining us today. I'll call for apologies. I'm not aware of any apologies this morning. Are there any declarations of interest this morning? I haven't been made aware of any. Public forums, petitions and deputations. There have been no requests made for public forums or deputations today. So we'll move to item 5, which is the confirmation of minutes of the ordinary meeting of council for the 8th of April 2020.
I'll move.
Moved by Lloyd. No corrections, obviously. If we have a seconder for that motion, moved by Jeremy. All in favour, say aye. Aye. Right, we'll move to item 6, which is the adoption of committee resolutions. So the first one is the APAC meeting of the 29th of April. Linda, would you like to comment on that meeting?
Sorry, just give me 2 seconds to change pages. Just wanted to perhaps bring your attention to, I think it's firstly item 7, which was the questions. The councillor raised a question about the Otago Regional Council and the exemptions and declarations that issues that they were having. So you can see that we will be keeping an eye on the advice and taking it into consideration if we need to. And the other thing was just to reiterate, I guess, that our operational costs have been significantly influenced by recent flooding. That would be the only things I wanted to raise. Thank you. I'd like to move that recommendation be adopted.
Thank you, Linda. Linda was moved. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Lloyd. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Or raise your hands. Okay, we will move to questions. I'm not aware of any this morning. Item 9 is Chairman and Councillors' reports. You will have seen the list of meetings I've attended. If there's any questions, happy to try and answer them. Not seeing any indications. Are there any council reports this morning? Lyndall, you were indicating?
Yes, I attended a webinar hosted by Economic Development New Zealand last week that was titled 10-Step Guide to Economic Recovery, put together by the team from Mark & Jenkins, and they are publishing a steps and drivers guide to the things that maybe we can think about, either the way that we can approach some of those economic challenges, which will be available this week, I believe. So once I've received that, I'll circulate it to councillors who are interested. The interesting point in their introduction that's worth noting perhaps is that the analysis would indicate that global economic shocks are kind of a decadal event, but that regional shocks, as in natural hazards, are beginning to occur at least 4 times a year. So that's something that we perhaps need to take into consideration in our LTP work. But as soon as I've got that guide, I will distribute it to anybody who's interested. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Lyndall. Any other reports this morning? Seeing any indication. So would would somebody like to move that we accept those reports this morning? Moved by Jeremy. What am I seeing on the screen? Seconded by Roy Esler. All in favour say aye. Aye. Okay, we will move to item 10, the Chief Executive's report. And so Rob, I'll hand over to you to speak to your report this morning.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'll take my report as read. It gives you an outline of what the organisation's been busy on since our last meeting and during the lockdown. Just a couple of points I'll highlight, I guess, is the organisation worked, the transition to working remotely worked very well, and I've got to acknowledge the work of the IT team, Jane Carroll and her team. It happened very quickly. We had staff with devices and systems to work from home, and also councillors working from home. That took a lot of work and some ongoing focus and support, and so I'm really pleased with how they played out. I'm reflecting how 5-10 years ago, if we'd had this sort of emergency, this situation would have been really difficult to operate the way we have, and so one of the work. The comms team have done a lot of work just keeping the organisation connected and supporting me in terms of part of that connection, and also wider work. So that's been a real highlight for me as well. So lots of highlights. So I'll be on dangerous ground here picking some out, but these are a couple. Also our people and capability. Around supporting staff, just with the focus on the well-being and noting the uncertainty and everything else that we're in, that support's been really useful. So yeah, across the organisation, we've been paying bills, we've been paying staff, we've been doing all of those things. That's been happening pretty seamlessly, and also we've had some legislative changes, which has enabled us to meet via Zoom as we have. And to sort of do some of the council work remotely as well, so that it all happen pretty quickly. It has been a good example of how, when everyone works collaboratively, good things can happen. So, look, Chair, I'll leave it there. Happy to take any questions on those matters.
Peter.
Oh yes, through you, Mr. Chair. So the learnings that you'll take away from this, Rob, is it fair to say that you will look to make savings across the entity in the way that work's been done through the lockdown?
Yes, look, I think so. The lessons for me is around that flexibility in terms of working from home. Those are things that I think will be, we'll need to be we're more flexible going forward around ensuring that can happen, and putting the support around that. And not only people have got work to do, so we have to make sure that's all happening, but that's a given. But there's been a high level of embrace that opportunity. The Zoom technology means I think there'll be less. We'll be able to Zoom people in here, from Wellington if we want to at a workshop. I know we've been struggling at the moment to try and get Judy Collins in to talk about the billion trees. Actually, it's much easier to Zoom someone like that than not having to give up a day to come down here. We can Zoom in, give up an hour, and I think that works both ways. So I'm expecting our people, will also not be travelling as much, so I'll be Zooming into meetings. Still, a need for some face-to-face, but actually this gives us another, tool to use in terms of meeting, both us going there and then people coming here. It is important we keep connected with the rest of the country, so Zoom is going to, I think, certainly help us do that.
Eric.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Has there been any serious impact on work programs that needed to be done that have been delayed while we've been under these protocols of COVID-19? Has anything been delayed that's going to have to be done now that'll impact on further work programs, or are we pretty much kept up to date?
I think, and I might ask Ben to comment on the compliance program. That may be impacted, I suspect, but we're looking at some ways of dealing with that. But Ben, anything you want to add to or comment on that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, thank you, Rob. The compliance routine monitoring was paused through level 4 and through level 3. It is now recommenced at level 2 response. We are working with providers of aerial services to finish off various monitoring programs, moving into intensive grazing monitoring for this year. So we're doing our best to catch up, but there will be activities that will not be able to be completed this financial year.
Now, Robert, was that just a thumbs up, or were you wanted to speak?
No, yeah, I was just wanting to ask Rob a question regarding, with climate change in mind and the way that the organisation's been operating lately. Rob, is anyone doing an analysis of the amount of travel that hasn't been done and converting that into savings? Because I know that our organisation's looking at assessing our greenhouse gas emissions, and surely that's quite significant, the travel that hasn't occurred. I just wonder if someone's going to account for that so that we can bear that in mind when we look at how we manage our greenhouse gas bill into the future.
Through your Chair, I know the team's doing some work around a work program around climate change and mitigation. But I'll ask Ben or Neil if they've got any comments on that.
Yep.
I'm sure there's been a significant reduction in emissions, not just from us, but across the world, isn't it? So I'm sure we're part of that. So.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Look, I'll comment in relation to obviously vehicle emissions. So we had been in a process of procuring and rolling out eRoad as our vehicle tracking system. We did fast track that as a result of us getting into COVID-19 and lockdown. So we wanted certainly the first focus was from a health and safety perspective, was to get the devices in the cars so we knew where everyone was, and that was, the focus was on health and safety. That said, that information, the system does collate what our carbon emissions are, and so we can get reports that show what occurred during lockdown and then what is recurring thereafter. I mean, part of the rationale for procuring that system was exactly that, to give us information on what our carbon footprint is on our vehicle fleet. So we haven't done that yet. As I say, the focus was on health and safety, but certainly the information is there which we can collate.
I thank you for that. I'm just wondering whether we will do that. I appreciate that we can. I'm asking whether we will. Well, actually, I'm encouraging us to do that. It's valuable information.
Yes, sorry, sorry, I probably could be, we haven't done it thus far, as Rob sort of touched on. There is our work program on our climate change in terms of our own internal footprint. So I'm saying that information is there. I'll be more firm. It will be collated and feed into that program of work. So yes, we will be doing that.
Thanks very much.
Lyndall.
I think Councillor Beard might have been before me.
Okay, well, I've got to look at both screens and I've got Lloyd as well. So I'll take Alan Baird.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, yeah, a question for Rob, just regarding the notified consents that are working their way through the system. The comment in your report is that they postponed until an alert level enables a hearing to be held. So can you give, I guess, indication as to what that alert level will need to be before those hearings can be held, or will they be specific to each consent?
I'll pass the board to Vin Smith.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Rob. We are working through details at the moment with respect to getting those hearings up and running. Depending upon the nature of the hearing will dictate whether level 2 or level 1 is appropriate. With respect to many of the hearings, they will recommence at level 2 due to the nature of the technology that can be deployed and the community of interest.
So I didn't quite get it. Level 2?
Many of them will. There will be some hearings where the nature of the evidence or the type of submitter who seeks to provide evidence may mean that they can't effectively occur at level 2 and will have to wait till level 1, but the majority of hearings should be up and running utilising technology in level 2 forward.
Thank you.
Chair, just before we go, one thing I also need to mention out of my report is the role of Emergency Management Southland, which is a shared service that we hosted here. So it's got a special place in our organisation, and they've been operating, obviously, as you know, for the whole of the time. And we've had staff supporting that for the whole time. So this has been quite a significant effort on behalf of the team there, Angus and his team, and also a number of our staff were playing leadership roles and support roles in that response. So, you know, increasingly the response, that role was in welfare, which is, you know, hasn't always, is sort of slightly different angle to what the normal response is, but actually they played a key role, assisted in helping Queenstown and the challenges they had up there for a chunk of that as well. So, you know, they were active the whole time.
Yes, just adding to that, I think the setup we've got in the South, and which is a combined response on our site, it has showed its worth, and I think it's been noticed in Wellington too, well led by Angus and his team. It's, you know, we've virtually been in a state of emergency with a small gap from the floods right through, and it has been a drain on resources, but it has been very well received. I think we're hoping during the latest phase that, you know, the government departments will start to pick up some of that welfare stuff. But now I've got Lloyd, then Lyndall.
Yes, yeah, I've got 4 things actually, if you don't mind. I'm just wondering, through you, the proposed water and land plan environment court hearing has been delayed through until August. And I'm just wondering what that means for direction. I think the community is looking for some of those outcomes there to be finalised up, and especially into the section 2. And the delay in the commentary from government probably is not helping that situation as well. We're going into another winter. I can see we're going to be basically 2 winters away before we can actually fully enforce that plan. So I'm just wondering how that sets the timetable for that one.
Through you, Mr. Chair, in response to that question, the court has set down a priority hearing for June, mid-June, to advance the proposed Southland Water and Land Plan, and as part of our next minute to the court, we're going to seek the court to expedite as far as possible the process forward for the benefit of all parties and the community of Southland.
So through Mr. Chair, in the papers we've got adjourning procedures until August 2020. Is that incorrect?
It has been updated since that paper was prepared. We only received advice of the earlier court hearing early last week, I believe, or last week, sorry.
On Friday last week.
Thank you. Just moving on, how likely is it that we're going to obtain the summer staff, and which opens to the bigger, wider question, are we going to take students on in this coming year for some of our work activities?
Can I get back to you on that one?
Okay.
Can I get back on that one?
That's fine. Next question is the 30,000 trees that's mentioned in your report, to me is a big area, and I'm wondering where is this area and what sort of trees and how are we going to maintain and service that? And I make that comment because I put in a number of trees at home and it's a 3-year very expensive follow-up program. And are we committing to just the planting or is it a long-term investment?
This is a long-term investment. So what's the question? Sorry.
Well, 30,000 trees to me is a big area of trees. Plants arriving shortly, going by what you've indicated here. And that there was going to be a planting through the Gore Dairy Farm Plant and Food Research Centre.
So look, Chair, I understand this is a collaborative exercise. There's a number of people involved in this. It has been planned out, and yeah, once you plant them, there's an ongoing program. Otherwise, the initial investment's wasted. So right. This is not just the one.
Thank you for that. And my last question, Mr. Chairman, is which you've probably commented on already, is the EMS has done a great job through until now. We see them in the papers, but I'm wondering now whether their role in this COVID-19 is about to finish, and the social services that it seems to be picking up is best go back to those services that actually that's their key role. And we've played our role through this period of time, but as we get to level 2, that maybe our role here is finishing, and we need to be ready for the next event that comes into Southland, whatever it may be.
So through your chair, there's been ongoing discussions about ensuring that that core welfare area, that we're seeing this as a transitional role until government's puts in place the systems and processes and the people to best deal with it. So the role has been a coordinating role, but we're very much pushing and encouraging this to be seen as transition. I was hoping it would be finished by now, but there's still a little bit of a tail to this. But I agree with what you're saying.
And I imagine now we've moved to recovery, and I think the number of telephone calls coming to the centre has dropped down to a minimum. But while the food parcels, etc., the funding is recoverable, our staff costs aren't. So it's they've done a fantastic job, but we have some people that are not able to carry up their day-to-day job. So we hopefully will get to a stage where they are back and doing that a bit more. Okay, I've got Lyndall, then Lloyd Esler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Follows on nicely from that conversation. Actually, I just wanted to at least pass on my thanks to the staff. And can't speak for everybody else, but I certainly appreciated their hard work and their adaptability, and any of the staff that I had to contact with things was fantastic. So let's at least pass on my thanks.
Thanks, Jim. Just a couple of questions. The first one, can you tell me what the S91A is? I'm just not familiar with that terminology. That was to do with applications for projects. It says suspended by applicant under S91A.
Through to which area was it?
This is under the resource consents. What is 21A is.
You can hand the board of energy.
Pass the parcel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Section 91A is a, excuse me, it's the request for further information.
Thank you.
Okay.
Second question. I just wondering if the council is still involved with with flood issues, with flood cleanup issues. This hasn't been in the news for the last couple of months.
Excuse me, I must apologise. It's actually where the application can be suspended by the applicant. I apologise. I was thinking around section 91A.
Yes, so through the chair, yes, so there's some the staff have been busy during the lockdown, and they were one of the essential services repairing the flood damage, so that's all largely kept. There's some work, ongoing work at the during the Tara and Gore with the stopping access, so that was still ongoing.
Okay, and there was a risk of further erosion of old rubbish dumps. Is that sort of still on the agenda?
So Gore District has been working on that, on rubbish dump, and our guys have been supporting it with a bit of sitting primarily with Gore District.
Thank you.
Peter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a follow-on for Councillor McCullum's questions there regarding the South Wirral Land Plan. There is a wee bit of confusion about what's operational and what's not as we go through this process of transition from Council's plan to the Court's plan. Can we have really clear communications in the near future of exactly that operational aspect, just to clarify it up for farmers especially? Would that be possible?
I think that's underway with Adrian and working with the Vince team. And I'm looking at you thinking, yes, so that would seem to be a very sensible thing we do. And noting we need to make it as clear as we possibly can. Yes, noting we've got an environmental process underway, as well as there is some stuff that's operational that we need to involve.
And just some general clarity on those processes, how that shifts, those stages shift would be helpful.
Anything you want to add to that? Lord Gillen?
Could I just add to that, Mr. Chairman? I think regardless of where we find ourselves, what plan we're working under, or what's in front of the Environment Court, I think there's an expectation that good management practice will be adhered to. And I know that and I'm expecting, unless there's anything different, but Environment Southland will be looking at what is happening on the ground by ear through the winter period. We'd expect that, and I think some general public may be doing the same. So we want to make sure we get it right. And I think the call went out some time ago that if you have situation you're not sure of, or you wanted some guidance, and I think there's about 65 or 70 that may need some alteration to their consent to actually contact Environment Southland and actually deal with your case on a case-by-case basis. I think I'm correct in saying that, but anyway, so there's been quite a bit of information go out so far, but we are actually aware of the unprecedented situation we're in, with cull cows being on board, with winter contracts being cancelled, with properties being sold and stock not being able to move, while the secondary market may not be that good. So far it hasn't hit, but we are expecting to be on farm pressure at this time.
Yes, I've certainly fielded one or two calls for people who wanted to know what the status of the mob sizes, and I guess that's not totally decided, because it's got to go through the thing, but at the moment, basically telling people to stick to good management practice. And the deemed permitted activity permit is probably one avenue for people that are in that situation. I've got David, then Jeremy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a question to Rob. I just wondered where we are we have talked about the possibility of subsidising, well, not subsidising, but making plants available at cost for people to actually plant out riparian strips and whatever throughout the southern province. And I just wondered, similar to Taranaki, and I just wondered where we were with that at the moment, whether we progressed that at all, and just where we were. Thanks.
We've got a workshop we're just trying to fit in at the moment for Fiona and her team to bring through the council their thinking around progressing this. It's something that's high on my list of priorities, and but it's the work's underway. We're possibly Friday or early or next week. We're just trying to get a date at the moment, and there'll be probably a Zoom workshop potentially. Getting people on.
Thanks, Rob.
Jeremy.
Probably to carry on a wee bit about the plantings, obviously about these 30,000 plants being planted in the Gore area. It's probably, I have heard a bit about it, and I know the people involved, and it's actually they're real proactive, connecting to the town and getting the schools out. And I think from the council we need more. That would be great. Obviously it's come up here, but it was quite, when I heard what they're doing, it's sort of raised my eyebrows, and I hadn't heard about it, but that they're it will be good for us as councillors and also other catchment groups to know what's going on there, how they're trying to connect with the communities.
No, good point.
It's really a good story.
And I guess we just related to David's question. I guess we can't preempt too much the workshop, but I think the majority around the table are pretty keen on the idea of leveraging the economies of scale by bulk ordering plants. And with shovel-ready projects, I know myself, I'd like to do some planting, but I haven't got the time or the expertise. And we could actually create a number of jobs where people can come along, they can organise the fencing, organise the planting, organise the follow-up, probably give advice on the Billion Trees Fund and a whole lot of other things. This could actually be quite a good employment thing going forward. And if we can give nurseries the security that we're going to be ordering for a number of years, again, there may be more employment opportunities there. So it's all win-win. Any further questions for Rob's report at this stage?
If there's not, I'm happy to move, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Lloyd, seconded by Lyndall. All in favour, say aye or raise your hands. Aye. Okay, we will now move to item 2, which is the Southland Flood Control Drainage and Management Bylaw of 2020.
Thanks, Gio. I think really you're going to take us through this, or we're getting Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Alex will lead this item by way of Zoom.
Good morning, councillors. I've also got Gavin Gilder from my team, who's been responsible for this bit of work, and a couple of catchment team, Paddy and Colin, are in attendance by Zoom as well to talk through any questions. I'm going to continue handing the potato around and let Gavin introduce his item, but hopefully you're all familiar with it. You'll have seen it the last time it came to council, and this is us trying to tidy up some of the matters that councillors raised in that session and get it finalised. So I'll hand it to Gavin now.
Thanks for that, Alex. And yeah, this item has been before us before, and there was 1 or 2 amendments suggested, which I see have been documented. I'll open up the floor for discussion on the recommendations. Lloyd McKellen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm actually happy with this, the way it's been presented. My only comment is, on the very front page, we've still got bylaw 2019. Should that be 2020, as it will be passed on the very front page of the proposed Southland Flood Control?
Yes, that will be updated to 2020.
Yeah, so with that, Mr. Chair, I'm actually, unless there's any other discussion, happy to move this forward, but I'll wait for other discussion.
Eric.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to second this. It's gone full process. We heard submissions, that strategy and policy, we presented it back, and there was some tidying up around the language that we requested Alex to go away and do, and having looked at that, I think he's captured the sentiment of what was expressed at the meeting, so I'm happy to second.
Well, the item's been moved and seconded, but I'm happy to take further discussion if necessary. I know we've had a fairly good go at this in the policy and strategy meeting, but there was one or two small amendments which have been dealt with that are before us this morning.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, sorry, through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, it's Gavin here. Yeah, so I'd just like to, request approval for a slight amendment to the application form at the back of the bylaw. So we've developed an online application form. So that would be the preferred way for people to apply. So I just want to insert some wording at the top of the application form, directing people to an online form if they can use that.
Okay, would you like to give us that wording, or is it?
Oh, it should be pretty straightforward, Mr. Chair. It's I haven't drafted it yet, but it'll basically refer people to the form on our website.
So it's more just it's direction rather than.
Yeah, it's more administrative. Yes.
It won't change any of the matters.
That we're looking at there, Gavin, and you just want something that says application by electronic means or something of that nature, is it?
Yes, yeah. I'll just put some wording under the Appendix 1 heading, directing people to an online application form if they would like to use that. So.
Okay. Everybody happy with that quite slight amendment?
Are we putting the recommendations 1, 2, and 3 as one motion, I presume?
I think unless they don't seem to be controversial, I'm assuming that the mover and seconder are happy to do that. That will be for all 3 recommendations. If there's no further discussion, I will put that. Those in favour will raise their hand and say aye. Aye. It's carried. Thank you for that. It's taken a little while to get to the end of that, but I think we've tidied it up and made it a bit more easy. So thanks for that. We'll move to item 3, which is the Local Government New Zealand Annual General Meeting and Remit process. This is on page 58 of the order paper. Now, this meeting is normally held as part of the conference, which has been postponed, but the meeting, as you'll see, is now going to take place on the 20th of November. It will also be the time when the President and Vice President positions are dealt with. So, any questions on the item? Normally we would have myself and one of the other delegates as the voting people.
Neville Cook's indicating he's.
Oh, Neville?
Yeah, just the recommendation number 3, Chairman. Are we still going to have it in by the 31st of July, given that the meeting's now put off for some time?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
And I got my answer.
Yeah.
So it's, I guess that's really only if we had a remit we wanted to put forward. In the past, we probably, I'm not aware of any burning issues at the moment, but if we had one, now's a good time to raise it because we'd have to do that quite quickly. Not hearing any of you at the moment. So I think we get Lyndall.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Just wanted to clarify whether we are, how many people we're considering sending this time, seeing as normally there's a couple of people at conference, but are we required to send 2, or are you the minimum requirement?
Probably the minimum. I think there's talks about proxies further over there as well. If it's not a whole conference, it's probably one is probably fine. It's a long way to go just to move it already. But I think normally we would get 2 votes.
The council has 3 votes.
3 votes.
But we only need 1 person to exercise it. They haven't set up an ability to attend by Zoom or digitally or to vote online. But we can vote by proxy if we wanted to go that way.
So supplementary to that then, Mr. Chairman, in the interests of not raising our air travel costs, I would suggest that are we just sending the chairman and adding the proxy votes to your attendance? Is that what we're considering?
I think that would give us the flexibility as to whether anybody attends, but I think we need to leave it open. Lloyd, yeah.
So there's probably a couple of 3 things here, if I may, Councillor Lowe. One is normally there's a pre-tour around the region, which is actually very, very useful. It's I've been on them in the past, and it's hugely valuable. We've had them in Canterbury and up through Wellington as well. So you get to know a little bit more about some of the issues that other councils are facing, and it's a great networking time. That aside, the AGM, which there's a number of remits, and last year there was a heap of remits, about 28 at the moment or thereabouts approximately, and we got through all that agenda. A lot of those is where you want LGNZ to actually focus their efforts and actually push through. Not all of those were passed, but that's actually a very small part of the time that you have there, and then we go into a wider conference with a number of MPs addressing us. Yep. So for those that don't know, that's basically how the timetable works over about 3, 4, 5 days. I think the big question is not here, Mr. Chairman, is are they going to, I see they've moved it to Wellington, but are they going to stay with the same format, or are we going to change into a new COVID post format? And that is not there, and we may need to seek some clarification.
I don't think there's going to be a conference of that.
So the original conference is going to be in Blenheim. It was canned.
Yep.
So this is very much an interim approach to an AGM. So if there is anything that goes with it, I think we have plenty of time to plan for that. But at this stage, all I'm looking for is remits to get that process underway in terms of the AGM. There may well or may not be other stuff that goes with it. At this stage, the focus is on remits.
And the council, the conference itself has been deferred to next year, same time, same venue. So we're just having an AGM to do the machinery items that must be undertaken as per their constitution.
So in particular, the outgoing president, Dave Cole, is standing down. So just for administrative purposes, they do need to have an annual meeting and elect a president and vice president and do any of the remit-y things. I've got Peter, then Lyndall.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick comment on that. That's what the council was talking about. We're actually in a period of austerity now, and we'll be going through one. So we need to be mindful of that at all times. I think they are commitments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for a second bite at the cherry. So I would like to move the recommendations because item 1 asks us to consider attendance at the AGM, which is what we're doing. The second point is to advise staff of any remits that we might have. And number 3, we can develop some papers and have them done by July if we want, but as far as I'm aware, nobody's raised a remit issue. So I'm happy to make that recommendation.
So you're moving the recommendation, and at this stage, unless the time is running out, unless there was a remit in the wind, yeah, we can pass them all, but we're probably just really doing number 1. But for safety, we can do a lot. So you're moved. We have a second for the recommendations, Jeremy.
We could start walking now, or you could get on your bike and save a few dollars and exercise. But no, doesn't need to be too many people going to it. Honestly, just to get the meeting sorted out.
And look, we can reassess closer to the area if it's not worth being there in person. We can reassess, but at least this motion gives us the flexibility to have one attendee. So it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the item? If not, all those in favour of the recommendations say aye and raise your hand. Aye. Carry. Right, we will now move to item 4, which is the update of the staff delegations manual.
This is just a standard machinery item to reflect a change in the staffing structure and an updating of job titles within the Science, Informatics and Operations Division and the Biosecurity Biodiversity Operations Division.
I'm happy to move, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Lloyd, seconded by Jeremy. Oh, I'm going to take somebody off the screen. I'll take Bonnie. Any further discussion? It's pretty straightforward. I will put the motion. All in favour say aye. Raise your hands. Aye. We'll move to item 5, which is the councillors' meeting schedule May 2020, which you will have in front of you. Any additions or subtractions?
There are 2 additional meetings to be added to the June and July meeting schedule, and they are relating to the People, Water and Land Programme. You're invited to attend council workshops with the TAMI board, 1 in June and 1 in July, 22nd of June, I believe. There's also to be, as Rob mentioned, a riparian briefing that will either be on Friday of this week or early next week. To be a short briefing, possibly take an hour.
Is anything? Maybe there's any further to add to that? Would somebody like to move?
Yes,
please.
Is there other organisations through the dead of the winter give consideration to meeting times and starts of meeting times when they're drawing people away from the regions into the town? Just for icy roads and driving conditions, is that something you consider?
We have done in the past, but what we have done, like when Councillor Cobu was with us, he used to come down the night before. If we had an early start, depends on if it's just a half day meeting, we may start at 10. There's also the ability to Zoom these days, so that is, we haven't been doing that in the past. So if you wish to have later start times.
Yeah, just through those months of June and July, probably are the riskiest months. Something to consider.
Now we do have the technology to have a second option, which we probably haven't had in the past. Any further discussion? Jeremy?
I take it the Waituna Catchment Liaison Committee, that's the river.
Yes.
My name's not.
Yeah,
I attended.
Add you to it.
Thanks.
Any other additions? Let's see. Oh, I didn't. Staff had somebody else lined up. I didn't actually do the Hockenry radio. Not really changed anything yesterday. So it's just one small alteration. If we have a mover and seconder for that, if there's nothing further under that item. Bonnie, where's my seeing there, and Alan. Moved and seconded, no further discussion. I will put the motion. All in favour, say aye and raise their hands. Aye. Right, we'll move to item 6, which is the common seal on page 76. Everything's going forward. Somebody like to move by Eric, seconded by Lloyd McCallum. Any discussion? Yep.
This is obviously retrospective because it has been applied. I'm just wondering whether why we're doing this. Have we sort of got a mandate to apply this retrospectively to something that's already happened? Or have we approved it in the past subject to council meeting, and then this is just the normal procedure? I'm just not sure what normally happens with the common seal.
As part of the council delegations policy, the chairman and chief executive, or the director of general manager of corporate services and deputy chair have the ability to witness this common seal being applied to legal documents, and we're obliged to report the signing of those documents and the application of that seal up to the following council meeting. So that's why it's there. The delegation is there for them to do that.
Jeremy.
Just going to just ask, obviously there's a number of leases here that have been signed. Are they, Neil might have to quickly answer it, clear, are they new leases? All the leases
I don't know the size, but I would have assumed that. Yeah. I'll report that back to you, but I would assume so.
Because normally they are a rollover, and but we actually don't necessarily see the whole. You're not seeing the whole document. So I guess that is possibly a question for your committee as to on what terms they are turning over. But they're not really retrospective because they're not finished until they're signed. So it's just part of that process. Oh, Alan.
Yeah, just a quick comment. I note that it appears one of our staff members has his name on one of those lease agreements. The 2nd of March is a lease of farmland, A Savage, and I'm presuming J Vent. Is that as our staff member, or is it not our staff member?
Yes, it is. I think it's long-standing from memory. Yeah.
And so, does that lease go through a more open process when our staff members are involved in wanting to lease that land?
Goes through a normal process to ensure that good practice is followed.
And there is transparency. That committee does see all those prices, etc. That for each and every lease.
If I can comment, it did go through open tender when that staff member won the contract, or the joint partnership won the contract. It was through open tender.
Thank you.
Alan. Okay, did we get a mover and seconder for the common seal?
Garrett moved and I second.
Oh, yeah. Okay, no further questions. I will put the motion. All in favour will say aye and raise their hands. Aye. Right, there is item 11. There is no extraordinary or urgent business we're off today. So that will actually bring us to the end of the public session of council for today. So thank all those who have perhaps taken part by listening to the live streaming. But at this stage, I will ask for a motion to move into public exclusion.
I'll do that.
Moved by Lloyd, seconded by Lyndall. All in favour will say aye. I'll ask Kristen to give us the reasons, and I guess we'll probably stop live streaming at this stage.
To prevent the disclosure or use of official information for improper gain or advantage, and to carry on without prejudice or disadvantage negotiations, including commercial and industrial negotiations.
Thanks for that.